I had this dream, and it could be a movie, like a horror movie, a Christian horror movie, about why you don't want to be in hell. And so I was on this ship, and this ship docked to this beautiful restaurant, and I've had multiple dreams where I go there with my dad and my dad's family, and it's really nice, and he's in oil, but it's also where the slave trade go, and they make really cool stuff to show the family, like special gifts in the kitchen that look like a celebrity's meal. And so I was like a celebrity coming from a wealthy family. But then when I was away from my family, I was by myself, and I was running on the dock, and I got away from the slave trade. And you couldn't buy shoes, you couldn't buy anything. And these girls were human trafficked for a brothel for minimum wage. And so they were human trafficked as models, managers, employees. And so I went by myself, and I was protecting Chris Davis, the party promoter models, because it was human trafficking to go on these ships and never come back. And so I was trying to appear there, look cool, and leave. So I just showed up and I got out of there. But this is a previous dream. And so I went back to this place where I was on this ship, and they escorted me to this museum. And I had been there before with my mom, and it's like a Holocaust museum. And you go through with the Jewish people, and there are graveyards, and then there are mementos. And they let us go in, and the Nazis let us go in and said, we'll show you a little bit about Nazi Germany. And so we got into this museum, and that was a previous dream. And so I went on this ship last night, and I went to this place where the museum was. But then they said, you can't have this room. It's very exclusive. And some Jewish guy gave me something that's like a museum memento to be able to check out the room. And so I went up, and they had these cushy beds with beds right next to each other, all next to each other, really close. Like if you are in heaven, you have your own house with your husband and your family. But this is like a palace, and it looks like very aesthetic and beautiful with the colors, like all looking like an artistic museum. And I was looking for Carissa, my cousin, and she was staying in one of the rooms, like a flight above. And they said, you should use this skincare with steroids, and gave me all this expensive skincare. And I said, I don't know, because I wasn't meant to be a rep, and I didn't know what it was. So I went up this flight, and it was these beds, and Carissa found another bed, this other room, but it was right next to Church of Abortion. Like these stuffed animals that were kind of scary because it was Church of Abortion, but nobody was there. And it was like my dream before, where you could go in a bikini and they had a pool, and it looked very aesthetic with these tall seating areas for someone who's like 11 feet tall. But I was looking at Carissa, and she thought she was really cool because it was like a museum, really artistic. And it was very meditative there. Like you couldn't hear a sound, and no one was there. And then, and I was telling Carissa, this is where the Babylonians live. And they were these really tall, it's like a tall setup, but no one was there. And so then I was like praying, and I'm like, our family don't want anything to do with idolatry. And there was a pool area, and I went down the staircase. There was a staircase that wraps around, and it's basically what hell would be like. Then there were like these like people who appeared there, and they could be in front of you and ask you to have sex with them. And I wasn't interested. But if you were demon possessed and you got off to them, you'd stay there in hell. And it's a brothel in hell. And it's on the earth. But Carissa doesn't live there. She has her own apartment, and I'm going to have a condo. But the devil can test people, and just know that it could be a level of consciousness. So you have to repent from any sin to be protected from church or abortion, because it is the marketplace. And the real ones had all their money stolen, and they were human trafficked for a brothel for minimum wage. So they're never compared to a brothel for minimum wage, because they worked for an agency rate for 20 years and it's 16 hours a day, and they have kids. So they would have to have direct deposit donations, and they should have the 1.4 million since 20 years ago for a 3-year period without being award-winning. Paris Hilton had stuffed animals in her house in Malibu. The architecture is like a tree house. But Carissa's protected from any Playboy voiceover for their real estate in real life and their healthcare.